Children is live. Children is live. What's good, family? I haven't been very active on YouTube because I almost lost my voice. My voice is a bit croaky at the moment because I was a bit sick, but I'm well again and my voice is back. I have been wanting to do this video. This topic came yesterday. African Museum reopens in Belgium, awakening colonialism ghosts. Russia Today published a video or a news article yesterday, and I was one of the first people to view this, and there were a couple of comments on there that were so ignorant. The first three comments were so ignorant, and I was compelled to address those commenters. And it seems it's just willful ignorance. Okay, people that are so willfully ignorant and adamant to change. They know what they're saying is wrong, but they want to say it anyway. Okay, I don't think it's trolling. It's just pure evil. It's pure evil, to say the least. So I will address this now. Okay, I will address this, and I'm not gonna make it a very long video. I'll go as quick as possible because it's 10:12 p.m. here, and I need to be in bed ASAP. I need to be in bed in an hour to be able to rise up at 5 a.m. for work. So I'll just do a quick check here, make sure the video is working. And it's a bit early on the east coast of the United States. Most of you are still sleeping, but it's Tuesday the 11th here in Melbourne, Australia, and it's 10:13 p.m. currently. So I'm just gonna check if the video is right. Okay, it is. Okay, right, it is working. Now, I will go straight to this topic, okay, by playing this video. I am going to, I'm using an iPad, okay, and I cannot share my screen. So I have an old iPad that I'm going to stream, I'm going to record this video off. So I'm just going to flip my camera, okay, and just play the video off that screen, okay. So let's do this. All right, so I'm going to adjust. All right. Checking the volume. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. It's not allowing me to do this, so
Troubles brewing between Belgium and the Republic of Congo with the reopening of a museum dedicated to Central Africa. It was supposed to be a new chapter in relations between the two countries, but some have lashed out at the museum, given Belgium's brutal colonial history. Congolese President Joseph Kabila is demanding the return of items seized during that era that are on display in the museum. When first established, the museum was supposed to shine a light on the imperial might of Belgium, showcasing the best artifacts from the African continent. 7 Congolese died there in 1897 after being put on show as living exhibits. The museum now says its focus is more on the works of African artists, but it still has thousands of items looted from the Congo, including the skulls of tribal chiefs. Despite 60 years of independence, the horrors of the Belgian rule are still remembered there. A warning, the next clip contains some disturbing content.
I am not sure why this is doing this.
In a statement, the museum acknowledged the mistakes of the past. Visitors on opening day were divided over the controversy.
It's really interesting to see our cultural history.
I think because of the fact that the museum is still managed by white people who are still in power, that it is still a white vision on the colonial past.
It's a new vision of Africa. It's different to the one that existed when I was a child. I'm going to discover it.
I used to come here as a child, so I'm curious to see the renovated museum. I don't feel concerned by the controversy.
I think it's okay that these artifacts are here in Belgium. A museum is a museum. It allows us to see what happened.
The Friends of the Congo advocacy group believe that in order for a new chapter to open, all the looted artifacts have to be returned.
You have a situation where through Belgian colonialism, European colonialism, they destroyed African societies. And now that we've gotten to a point where Africans are making the demand, they come and say, well, you don't have the infrastructure to accommodate the materials that we've looted. In order for a new chapter to be opened, the thousands of artifacts in the museum need to be returned to the Congo. That's fine. They can advance, expand the museum and have other artists, other artifacts. However, the primary concern is the return of the cultural legacy of the Africans.
Artie's documentary on how colonial rule has impacted on the African country will be playing throughout the day. You can also watch Congo, My Precious anytime online on our website, artie.com.
Right, so this video is just finished. I'm just addressing this comment here. Okay, take care. Elm City. All right. So I have finished playing this video. I don't know. I'm just gonna flip the camera back to myself. Right. Okay. Now, I'm sure you all saw this video, or you heard the sound bite. This video gave me mixed feelings, okay? One, it said that Belgium acknowledges the mistakes of the past, okay? But I left a comment here, okay, saying that acknowledging the mistakes of the past does not fix anything. Belgium and France and Britain must pay reparations and return all wealth they stole and are stealing from the Congo and the entire continent as a whole. Okay, and I got some backlash here, right? I got some backlash for this comment on stupid trolls. Okay. Someone wrote, only a small elite only a small elite in Europe profited from the colonization, mainly nobility. They abused their own people too. Not a single European citizen had slash have any benefits of colonization. Now that right there is complete BS. Okay, it's complete BS. Not a single European citizen had slash have any benefits of colonization. that is just stupid, right? Meanwhile, their money is used to donate billions to Congo. Belgium and France already paid back 100 times. Don't forget modern machines, modern infrastructure, all for free, donated and paid by people who never colonized and never profited from it. All right, so in 2018, okay, this is how some people think. Okay, they think that Europe gives free stuff to Africa, and Europe has given state-of-the-art technology to Africa for free. It is a joke. I've got about 3 articles that I'm going to read to you. All right, and that's just going to dispel this myth here. So my reply to this fella here is: donations and giving money to poor people anywhere on this planet doesn't get them off their lazy bums and do any work. Can you actually point to me? Can you actually point to me where the billions of dollars are? I call it wasted money. Africa needs industries to process the natural resources and market finished products to the world. That's where wealth is. Okay, so another stupid comment coming. Okay. Chief Rhino, typical lazy nig-nog wants another handout. God forbid you savages ever build something of value. Okay, and this person gave me a middle finger. This person right here gave me a middle finger. All right, and this person got 3 likes. Okay, 3 likes. Okay, I got 7 likes for my comment. Okay. The next person got 5 likes, and people liked the stupid comment that somebody. I'm gonna stop doing this, okay? Because it's I don't think my camera likes this very much, so I'm just gonna read it. Okay. So the next stupid comment was, and you return all the civilized things and technology that Europeans brought to you, barbarians. Can you go live in your huts like the savages you are? This is so ridiculous, because in history the only barbarians we know, okay, are Europeans. The only barbarians we know are Europeans, right? Okay. So whatever is going on, these people are just projecting their feelings towards Africans, right? They're projecting their self-hate, okay, towards Africans, right? So my reply to Tony, who's asking that Africans return all the civilized things and technology that Europeans brought to Africa, right? Right. Okay. My reply to him was, wait, Europeans were living in caves and bashing one another with clubs until Africans came to civilize you know, MFs. Okay. Mofos. All right. So another reply to James Smith, who wanted to be, you know, belligerent, right? Listen to yourself, you are, so my reply to him, okay, listen to yourself, you are so trashy, and this is exactly why the sun hates you. MF, okay, mofo, vampires, always sucking up people's blood and achievements. Yeah, we built everything, we built Egypt, Rome, and Greece, and what you people did was kill, steal, and steal, like the Bible said you will do. The real devils, okay? Europeans are the barbarians and the savages. What you think you dress better now, and that makes you a decent person. A decorated monkey is still a monkey, and that's what you are, fool. The Romans hated your ass, and you should have and should have terminated you. Heck, I wish Hitler had won the war against. Heck, I wish Hitler had won the war to gas you MFs in Europe. Effing trash of humanity you guys are. Hail effing Hitler. Okay, so I was just responding to him just to playing along with his energy, right? And then another comment came. Hustle Bursk. Okay, they got 100-fold reparations in form of welfare. Time for the Africans to pay back all the aid they got over the decades. Okay, and my reply to this guy was, Basque, bullshit. Most welfare recipients are trashy white people and don't know their own worth and the privileges of having pale skin. Okay, everything all benefits the pale skin person. People, even pale skin people, even BLM, which is Black Lives Matter, benefits pale skin people. So this movement, Black Lives Matter, okay, was formed to combat police brutality. Now, the movement has been hijacked, okay, and it's now all lives matter. Fair enough. Okay, so my reply to him was, you people are just leeches of humanity. Okay, so another comment on my comment was blaming the shortcomings of your people onto another group of people. Nice, so brave and intelligent. I don't really understand that comment, okay, but I took it as being sarcastic and being ignorant. So my reply to that person was, wow, so you sound very intelligent by being willfully stupid and ignorant in your sarcastic comment. My people, I thought you would be smart to know that we are all the same people from a common ancestor. Common ancestor. Each and everyone is related, and we are one big family. Yeah, that's right. The barbaric European has a foot on the neck of the African. Africa, America, Australia, and Asia should have been left alone to develop and advance on their own. But fuckers from Europe just couldn't help themselves with their criminal, barbaric, and murdering ways, eh? How can Africa develop when France and Britain control the world's market and places Africa in perpetual debt repayments after raping the continent for over 500 years? Huh? I bet you didn't know former French colonies in Africa collectively still pay colonial taxes to France worth 450 billion. It's actually $500 billion. Okay. I bet you didn't know the reason for this tax placed on those countries because of old and rusty infrastructure France built in those colonies prior to them getting independence. Now get out of here with your foolishness. Okay, so this is a precursor to what I'm going to address, right? What the video on today, okay, is going to be a teaching lesson, okay? I'm trying to move very quickly because I don't want to make this too long, okay? Please excuse me. So, a whole lot of stupid comments on this video, okay? And I'll try and flip the camera again. And if it doesn't mess up, okay. So someone said, so by that logic, everything looted by another country should be returned to the original country. Okay, so these are Europeans, right? They're not happy that Europe should pay reparations to Africans. Okay, but I'm going to show you an article where Belgians are demanding Germany pay reparations to them. Okay, and it's not a joke. They were serious. Okay, here's another comment. Okay, hiding crimes of African migrants while digging up centuries-old crimes from natives' ancestors, denouncing colonialism by Europeans while facilitating the colonization of Europe by Third World. Okay, so that is a very, very ignorant comment. Okay, What about the atrocities committed from Africans to Europeans? the Africans never committed any atrocities to Europeans. Okay, so this the misconception, okay, miseducation, is really, really rampant amongst white people. Okay, I don't know who educates these people. Okay, they are dumber than brick. That is why it is very important that we have black YouTube. Okay, black people have their own stuff. Okay, because these people are sharing the same platform as us. Okay, we're trying to be progressive. Okay, and these people don't see that. They just want to regress every time. Okay, by the look of these comments, okay, there's no progression here. They're just dumb. All right. So this comment from Richard Raff. Meanwhile, the ongoing genocide against white colored people in South Africa and Zimbabwe accelerates. Okay, this is fake news. All right, this is fake news. They can have their silly artifacts back if they give up all the modern technology and the West introduced. Return to living in huts covered in mud and cow excrement. Okay, so this is the average misconception that Europeans have. Okay, and I don't know, I think in 2018, you can actually go onto Google and search how Africans are living. Like, Africa has got mega cities, okay, great cities. Before Europeans even had good cities, okay, there were cities in West Africa that were so grand, okay, so grand. The malls built very really beautiful cities that are still existing in Spain today. And Northern Europeans were living in huts. Okay, they were still living in huts still. So this is just old rhetoric. So by logic, everything looted by, I think I read that already. Africa would be much poorer had they never been colonized by Europeans. Okay, so Africa would be much poorer had they not been colonized by Europeans. Okay, so that is very, very, very stupid. That is so stupid on so many levels that you wouldn't know. If Africa was left alone, okay, Africa would develop on its own. But the reality is, Africa was not left alone. Africa was invaded. Okay, and all advancement in the African development was halted, okay, by the Europeans, because they raped the continent for 500 years and enslaved the native people. All right, so African Americans thinking they've been enslaved for 400 years, well, Africans were still enduring slavery, okay, for 500 years. 500 years. All right. Anyway, I move on. The European royal family is one family. I don't know what that person meant, but okay, the way of living of Africans was disturbed by Europe. Okay, so this is a reasonable comment here, Thomas Simeon. Okay, the way of living of Africans was disturbed when Europe invaded Africa for resources. For Africans, there was no such thing as borders. Trade was done with resources. Medicine was traditionally made from different plants. They lived in harmony with nature, and if they evolved without the current white system around the world, I can see them having to be peaceful. But the continent is now still under colonialism and is struggling to follow a colonialism system. Okay, so this person here nailed it, on the head, right? He nailed it on the head. Okay, and put these ignorant commenters to shame. All right, Belgium should give back what it looted and offer apology. It's common sense. Okay, so that person is like from Somalia, because that's the Somali flag. So this is another comment. There wouldn't be a single artifact if these weren't taken by the Belgians. How come if they have such rich history, they just don't display what they have? Oh, they have nothing to show for us. They do not value it. For us, they do not value it unless it is in possession of others who took better care of the cultural artifacts, the Congolese themselves, than the Congolese themselves. Okay, so this is another ignorant comment. The stupendous level of this comment, okay, is it's so grand. Okay, it's so painfully grand. Okay, this ignorance hurts my brain. Okay, so another comment: the white man is evil, the sky is blue. Okay, so what's new? Shame on these nations for spreading such evil in the world. Okay. So I think I've gone past a few of the ignorant comments. This is another one. Africa was better off under European rule. Look at it now. Savages killing each other, and in South Africa killing whites and stealing their land. It is time for President Trump to nuke the savage blacks and rid the continent of them. Make South Africa great again. Now look, this comment right here got 17 likes. 17 likes. This is sickening. You know, this is really important that we do these kind of videos to address these rhetorics, because 5 years from now, these comments are still going to be here. Okay. And young generation, the young people are going to log in onto YouTube and watch this video and read these comments. Okay. Read these comments. These comments are similar to abuse. Cyber abuse. Okay, and young people are gonna read these, okay, and not understand the context of it. Okay, and then they're gonna be so indoctrinated, you know, with poison. I am a white European and I'm very proud of my ancestors. European colonialism is the best thing happened in the history of Africa. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, and this person here is just so wrong. Give them everything back and revoke their citizenship. All right, okay, I've had enough of this. All right, I'm trying to keep this as low as possible. This video not too long. Okay, so I am going to address this this rhetoric. Okay, since these people are they have exhibited great, you know, ignorance. Okay, they've showed how uneducated they are, right? I am going to read a couple of educated articles, okay, and we shall address this. All right. So, and again, I'm using my iPad, and sorry, I cannot share my screen. So, from time to time, I'm just gonna flip my camera and show the screen that I'm on. Okay. So my first article. First of all, I wanted to read the article actually about the video, which was the video was based on, was from the Daily Beast. Okay, and it says Belgium tries to atone for King Leopold's sin in Congo. All right, so I'll read that a bit later, but I wanted to actually I'll read that article first. Okay, actually I'll read that article first. So I'll flip that. All right, this is the article. Zoom out. Belgium tries to atone for King Leopold's sins. Okay, so the camera doesn't like it. Okay, doesn't like it, so I'm just gonna flip it back to myself. All right, I'm just gonna flip it back to myself. So that there is the Belgium, the royal. This here is the Royal Belgium Museum. Okay, Royal Belgium Museum of Central Africa. Okay, this beautiful building here. This beautiful building here. Belgium's Royal Museum of Central Africa is a gorgeous neoclassical palace nestled in an immaculately sculptured park just 20 minutes drive east of the city of Brussels. Yet for many, it's a symbol of an atrocious legacy. Created to showcase artifacts from the Belgian Congo, it is associated with horrors of colonial conquest, ruthless pillaging, racist oppression, and heinous slaughter. It's an ugly reputation, but the museum is now trying to set things right. On Saturday, it reopens after a 5-year, $80 million makeover. That is more than just about rearranging the displays. It is about giving the museum a new purpose. The result could help Belgium atone for its African misadventures. So, for more than 60 years, the museum spread a colonial message, says Guido Grisils, the museum's director. We now take a different view. The principle of colonization is fundamentally immoral, and we completely distance ourselves from it. All right. So these are some of the paintings in the museum, right? And this is the director of the museum, Guido Grisils, General Director of Africa Museum in Brussels. Okay. Grisils says the museum's current role is about raising awareness and becoming a world center for research. We present the facts and memories of the past, he says. The museum was originally built for the 1897 International Exposition in Brussels. It was created by Belgium's vainglorious King Leopold II to house his enormous collection of zoological and cultural materials from the Congo, from stuffed elephants to witch doctor masks to the uranium from the same mine as that used in Manhattan Project. So those of you who know of the Manhattan Project, okay, the Manhattan Project was the science research done by Albert Einstein and the rest, okay, to develop the nuclear weapon, the atomic bomb, okay, and they got the uranium from the Congo, okay, Central Africa. That's where they got the uranium from. All right. So the bomb that was used on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, okay, the Americans got it from the Congo. All right. So I'll continue. It was the king's personal collection because the Congo was Leopold's personal estate. Can you believe that? It was claimed for him in 1885 by the American explorer Henry Morton Stanley. The woefully misnamed Congo Free State was the size of France, Germany, Norway, Spain, and Sweden combined, or 76 times that of Belgium. In the so-called, here goes the camera again. Okay, so I'm just going to flip it back, okay. Right. In the so-called scramble for Africa, Leopold hit pay dirt. His private army squeezed the land of its resources, slaughtering elephants for ivory, tapping trees for rubber. Okay, so I'll pause here, right? I'll pause here. Now they're saying that Africans, the population of Africa is growing. That it's putting a strain on the animals in Africa. But what actually caused the extinction of animals in Africa were actually Europeans hunting them. Even last year, articles came out that Donald Trump's sons were hunting leopards in Africa. How disgusting is that? Okay, that is very disgusting. And these people committed all these atrocities, okay? And this is modern history. It wasn't, you can't say this is the past. People are still living from the 1920s. People are still alive today, all right? My mother's mother was 116 years old. 116 years old, okay? And she only passed away in 2008, all right? So people are still alive. People who have experienced these sort of colonial brutality, okay, they are still alive. So yeah, this is BS, complete BS that you know, Africans are killing the wildlife in Africa. Okay, the Africans have been living in Africa for thousands of years. Okay, and the animals have been living there for thousands of years. But the moment the Europeans set foot in Africa, okay, all the animals started going extinct worldwide. All the animals started going extinct. All right, so I'll go back to the article, right? In the so-called scramble for Africa, Leopold hit pay dirt. His private army squeezed the land of its resources, slaughtering elephants for ivory, tapping trees for rubber. Okay, the Congolese were treated like subhumans, enslaved, brutalized, and mutilated. Soldiers punished fathers who failed to meet their rubber quotas by amputating their children's hands. The crazed character of Kurtz in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness is likely inspired by the administrator Leon Rome, who decorated his garden with severed Congolese hands. Can you believe this disgusting thing? This is so disgusting. Some estimates say the Congo's population fell by 10 million people. 10 million people. Okay, so King Leopold's minions killed over 10 million people in the Congo, or half its population in the 40 years after 1885. The museum itself has a dodgy past. When it opened in 1897, it included a copy of an African village, complete with 267 men, women, and children brought over from the Congo to be displayed as a human zoo. 7 of them died from pneumonia during the exhibition, yet about 1.3 million, a third of Belgium's population at the time, came to gawk. Okay, so 1.3 million people came to watch Africans in the zoo. That is just disgusting. And these people, these are grandparents of people that are alive today. Grandparents. Okay, and they are in denial of all these things happening. You saw from the comments how sad these people are. Okay, the sad comments these people are making in denial of what happened. Okay, these people have the grandparents still alive who went to see it, and these people, they didn't go there by themselves. They went there with the children. They took the children there to witness these kind of things. Okay, so people's fathers are still alive who have seen these human zoos. They still alive. Okay, I continue. The Congo Free State was eventually handed over to the Belgian state in 1908 and was granted independence in 1960. But the brutal legacy endures today. The Democratic Republic of Congo. So that line is very, very important. All right, that line is very, very important. The brutal legacy endures today. The Democratic Republic of Congo is now one of the most unstable countries in the world. Okay, and this is due to Belgium. Okay, Belgium's atrocities in the Congo. All this All this made the museum renovation a task with historical, education, and political implications, especially since the main exhibit had not changed since 1958, before independence. So 1958, this is 60 years ago, all right? This is like my dad's age. Most of us are dad's age, all right? Before independence, it has 1958, before independence. It has been an absolutely enormous challenge, says Grisels. You cannot escape the museum's colonial past. It is all around. For example, Leopold II's personal insignia of two capital letter L's back to back is carved into museum's masonry 45 times. Okay. And the main hallway includes a grandiose gilded bronze statue entitled Belgium Brings Civilization to Congo. So this is what the Europeans like to say. They think they took civilization to Congo, okay? But they rather went to murder the Congolese. They went to murder the Congolese people, okay? All right, and they said they took civilization to them. They went to murder them, enslave them, okay, and rape the women. That's what they did, okay, and cut off their hands, okay. So they didn't bring civilization, they just brought disease and despair, okay. While these statues cannot be moved, Grisel says they can be contextualized with explanations about Leopold's brutality. He was wary about telling the story just from a white perspective. So the museum sought the advice of African historians and museum directors throughout the process. They offered some additions, a memorial on the wall listing the names of 1,508 Belgians who died in service as Leopold's colonial agents. Now has the names of Africans victims projected on top of it. Okay, so what happened there was they rather inscribed the names of the Belgian soldiers that died, trying to oppress the Africans. Okay. So they're trying to put this in proper context, okay? And look, 1,500 Belgians died just trying to colonize Africa, or colonize the Congo. They should tell you that the Congolese fought back. They actually fought back. They were not going to be enslaved just like they fought back. All right, they fought back. But then, of course, they overpowered them with the guns, right? So, yeah, a memorial on the wall listing the names of 1,508 Belgians who died in service as Leopold's colonial agents now has the names of African victims projected on top of it. Okay. The overall focus on the museum is now on showing the full picture of Central Africa, including the history before colonization and the story since independence. It is almost doubling its floor space from 6,000 to 11,000 square meters, with a new visitor center and exhibition spaces on Congolese history, culture, and contemporary art. The galleries now include rooms dedicated to biodiversity, minerals, language, and music, rituals and ceremonies, and art history. The new entrance half features an enormous 20-meter long canoe carved from a single tree. All right. Grisels is even ready to discuss reparations. Okay. Oh, no, not reparations. Sorry. Grisels is even ready to discuss repatriation of artifacts in an issue given prominence last year when French President Emmanuel Macron said it was wrong for Europe to have 80% of Africa's cultural heritage. 80%. So Europe's this is big. 80% of Africa's cultural heritage was looted and sent to Europe. How so? So everything that Africans had to look back to see how best they've advanced in time, all right, was all taken away to Europe. Okay, was all taken away to Europe, right? And I bet if they could move the pyramid, they would have moved the pyramid to Europe as well. They would have done that as well. They would have moved the pyramids. Oh boy. So I'll read that again, all right? Brussels is even ready to discuss repatriation of artifacts, an issue given prominence last year when French President Emmanuel Macron said it was wrong for Europe to have 80% of Africa's cultural heritage. Belgium has already returned hundreds of objects to the Institute of National Museums of Congo in Kinshasa. Okay, so the previous comment saying that Africans cannot display. No, you go to Ghana, you see museums. Okay, you see everywhere. You go to Senegal, you see museums. Okay, Africans have their own museums as well. All right. So Belgium has already returned hundreds of objects to the Institute of National Museums of Congo in Kinshasa and to the National Museum of Rwanda and in Butari. Okay, we acknowledge that the moral ownership is with the African countries themselves, Brussels says, and there should not be any debate that human remains should be returned. Okay, so this is one of the disgusting things Europeans did, right? They chopped off heads of clansmen in Africa, okay, and stuffed their bodies up and took them to Europe, all right, and displayed them. Okay, put their heads on display, and this is really disgusting. Okay, this is what it did to the Aboriginal Australian, the last Aboriginal queen of Tasmania. Okay, her name was Truganina. Okay, and coincidentally I live in a suburb called Truganina. Okay, now this Aboriginal queen Truganina was left to die. Okay, all the Aboriginal people of Tasmania were all murdered. The royal family was preserved, and they were killed as well. Okay, and their bodies were sent to Europe and displayed in museums. How freaking disgusting is that? That is so disgusting. Okay, and it's been discussed that the bodies be sent back. I'm not sure. I read this a few years ago. I'm not sure if the bodies have been returned yet to Australia, but yeah, they should be returned. Okay, all these bodies should be returned back to Africa and be given a proper burial, because this is really, really sick. Okay, this is really sick, and all the atrocities happening in Europe, things that are going on in Europe, like the yellow vest protesters in France at the moment. Okay, Europe is falling. Okay, Europe is falling. Okay, and this is due to the evils they committed against African people. Okay, it's payback time. Okay, it's payback time, and this is not Africans doing it. It's just karma. Okay, it's karma. Karma is getting the Europeans. Okay, the yellow vests are destroying France, literally destroying France. Okay, and you've all seen the protests going on. Okay, so you can't just come and kill Africans and chop off their heads and display them in museums in Europe. That is like, you know, if there was a God, okay, I don't think any God would be happy seeing that. Okay. Okay, your recompense is on the way. You're gonna pay. Okay, Europe is going to pay. Europe and America, you all gonna pay. So it's very important that African Americans, okay, you get your passports ready, okay, and move to Africa, because you know shit is gonna hit the fan. in the West, shit is gonna hit the fan. All right. Yellowstone is gonna blow, okay? When Yellowstone blows, okay, the whole of the United States is gone. All right, the whole of the United States is gone, and it's soon gonna happen. All right, soon gonna happen. So I'll read that line again, okay? As discussing it as it is, but it's still the article I need to address it. All right. We acknowledge that the moral ownership is with the African countries themselves, Grisel says, and there should not be any debate that the human remains should be returned. He adds, referring to items like the skull of Congolese warlord Lusinga Iwa Ingombe, brought back to Brussels by the Belgian army officer who ordered his killing. So these are kind of the disgusting things they did, right? The problem, however, is to find out where they came from. We have a full inventory, but we don't know how they were collected. Was it a gift? Were there other compensations? He asks, adding that any claims have to be checked thoroughly. This brings Grisels to what he considers the museum's main purpose now. As a research center, its collections includes 125,000 ethnographic items, 10 million zoological ones. Can you believe it? 10 million artifacts. 10 million zoological ones, like animals they've killed, right? 6 million insects, 200,000 rock samples. Okay, so these people were digging extensively in the Congo for minerals. 3,000 historical maps, and this is only in one museum, right? This is only in one museum. Imagine what's in France. Imagine what's in Spain. Imagine what's in Portugal. Imagine what's in England. Can you imagine what's in England? This is amazing. And this is only one museum in Belgium. Imagine how many museums they've got like this. Okay. So it is still the foremost resource for Central African history. So it is still the foremost resource for Central African history with a team of 130 researchers. The core endeavors of this Africa-oriented institution consist of acquiring and managing collections, conducting scientific research, and mounting selected exhibitions. He says, like many Belgians, Grisels was told at school that the imperial experience was entirely benevolent. No. See, so this is the miseducation, all right? They lie to the Europeans, okay? So a lot of people would like to blame Europeans, okay? They don't know better, okay? Because they've been miseducated, okay? Most Europeans have been miseducated. Some of them have omitted these kind of history from their studies, from their curriculum. Okay, they don't teach these things. All right, but because of the atrocities, okay, they have been haunted. Okay, they cannot move on without addressing this. Okay, and like I said before, okay, it's not only about acknowledging the mistakes. Okay, you have to pay reparations. Reparations need to be paid. Okay, reparations need to be paid, and your sins will still need to be punished. All right, so it's happening, okay? It's happening in Europe. Your sins are being punished, all right? And they're going to be punished greatly very soon. Like many Belgians, Grisels was told at school that the imperial experience was entirely benevolent, which it wasn't. Belgians went to the Congo to build roads, schools, and hospitals. Yeah, that's what they teach them, right? Belgian school books would contain phrases like Negroes are indolent, lazy by nature. Okay, so lacking in foresight. So these are the kind of things that Europeans learn of Africans. So that's why they always attack Africans as Africans are lazy, Africans are backward, Africans lack foresight. Okay. These when you hear a rhetoric from a European, okay, a Eurocentric person, okay, this is how he was indoctrinated. Okay, this is how the European was miseducated and misinformed. So I really appreciate this man's effort here, Mr. Grisils. Okay, his effort, you know. Adam Hochschild, okay, Hochschild, sounds like German, okay. Author of King Leopold's Ghost, the 1998 bestseller that explores Belgium's savage colonial history. So this man, okay, attributes savagery, okay, to Belgium, okay, Belgium's history. There's nothing more savage than what they committed in the Congo, okay. So Belgium. Adam Hochschild, author of King Leopold's Ghost, the 1998 bestseller that explores Belgium's savage colonial history, says that for decades the museum perpetuated a very rosy view of the colonial era. Okay, so this article is done. But attitudes are changing. In July, Brussels renamed a square after Patrice Lumumba. Okay, I have another article on that topic, okay, and I'm going to read it. Okay, so in July this year, okay, July 2018, okay, Brussels renamed a square after Patrice Lumumba, a radical first prime minister of an independent Congo, who was killed in 1961 by Belgian police officers. Okay, so this is how they destabilized Africa. When Africa was coming out of colonization, okay, they assassinated African leaders. Okay, those who do not oblige to the puppeteers orders. Okay, the orders from the Europeans. Okay, they were assassinated. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was assassinated as well. Okay, because there was a coup d'etat to take Kwame Nkrumah out of power, okay, and he was poisoned with cyanide, okay, and he later on died a few years later, okay, a few years later, less than, I think, he died in 1972. That's when Nkrumah died, in 1972, and you know they formed the Organization of African Unity in 1963, okay. Nkrumah and Haile Selassie were on the verge of a United States of Africa, okay. The Europeans took him out, just as they did Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was on the verge of establishing an all-African bank, okay. And they had to take him out. They had to take Muammar Gaddafi out. And it's so disgusting. This was under the nose of Barack Obama, who is the son of an African, okay. That should tell you Barack Obama himself, he was a puppet. He was a puppet. Right. He was a puppet. And I know Obama meant well for black people, okay, but you know, when you are in that system, okay, when you are in that system in that White House, okay, you do as you're told. You do as you're told. Anyway. So Patrice Lumumba was the first prime minister of the independent Congo, and he was killed in 1961 by Belgian police officers working with the CIA. So similar story with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, okay. And the French did the same thing to Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, okay. And they did that all around the continent, okay, across the continent. It helps that the Congolese diaspora in Belgium, which has grown tenfold since independence, is making its voice heard, doubtless aided by the exploits of football stars like Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, Lukaku is one of my favorite players. All right, he's a good striker from Chelsea. Okay, Lukaku from Chelsea. Now I think he's playing for Manchester United. All right, but he was better at Chelsea, okay, and he played really well at Liverpool as well, Okay. So football stars like Romelu Lukaku and Vincent Kompany of, I think Kompany plays for Manchester City, both of Congolese descent. Okay. Grisiels accept that the museum has a role to play in rewriting Belgium's colonial history, including working with education ministries to teach a more accurate history or story of colonialism in schools. We have a responsibility to play our part in this debate. All right, so the miseducation, okay, of the colonial history in Europe, okay, is what's spewing a lot of, or what's brought forth these Eurocentric people who are so disrespectful, so adamant, okay, and so, you know, rhetorical in speech. They say all sort of stupid things that Africans should go back and live in the mud huts and stuff like that. But they do not know that there are cities like mega cities like Accra, mega cities like Nairobi, mega cities like you know, Luanda, okay, mega cities like Kinshasa, Cairo, Algiers, Casablanca, you know, Dhaka. They don't know Lagos even. Lagos is one of the biggest cities in the world. Okay, and Lagos is beautiful. Like, these people have never heard of any of those cities. Dar el Salaam, they've never heard of these cities. You know, they've never heard of them. Okay, and all they think about is Cape Town in South Africa and Johannesburg and Durban and all that. Okay, there are better cities in Africa than that. They have way better cities than Cape Town. Right. Anyway, so that's the end of that article. So I will go on. Okay, I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. So in summary, all right. Okay, my next article is on Patrice Lumumba. Okay, how and this here symbolizes the effect of colonialism on Africa, even after Africa had been, or after Africa had gained independence. Okay, what the Europeans did, okay, was even more disgusting, really disgusting. All right, and there are articles on these. Okay. So there is another article. Okay, this is where I got my stories from. So this article is on Patrice Lumumba. Come on. I think I will read. I'll read a shorter one. Okay, I'll read a shorter one about how France, okay, collects $500 billion from 14 African former French colonies. Colonies, okay, $500 billion. Okay, imagine this $500 billion stayed in Africa to help Africa build itself, but Africans had to pay this money to France after they've raped Africa for so long. Okay. And this is each year, every year, $500 billion has to come out of former French colonies in Africa, like Morocco, Algeria, okay, Tunisia, Mali, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Niger, Burkina Faso. I mean, the French basically took the bigger share of Africa, right? Much of North Africa. When you look at West Africa, people say West Africa. Okay, I like to call that part North Africa. Okay, that's North Africa, but they like to. This is what Europeans have done. Okay, North Africa, they separated from West Africa. Okay, that whole region is North Africa. Okay, and then we have Central Africa being the Congos, and then the Southern Africa being South Africa, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, you know, Mozambique, Tanzania. Okay, all these are South Africa. Okay, the North Africa is like from the Gulf of Guinea all the way up to the Mediterranean Sea. That's North Africa to me. All right, so we need to rewrite that history. We need to change that geography. All right, that is North Africa. All right, because basically the people living in West Africa migrated from the North Africa anyway. Okay, they migrated from the north. Okay, they were all living. When you look at the Ghana Empire, the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, that was all in the North Africa. All right, that was all in North Africa. So I don't know why these people keep changing history and trying to separate North Africa from Black Africa. That's all Africa. Okay, that's all Africa. All right, Saudi Arabia is all Africa. Anyway. So this article is coming from World Bulletin. Okay, I'm gonna flip my camera. Okay, World Bulletin. Okay, says that. What's the title? So this is just an article on. I try to find a real article on the $500 billion that African countries are paying to France in the form of colonial tax. Okay, so read this. When Guinea, okay, so this is so disgusting, all right? This article is so disgusting. All right, it's a good article to read, but it just sheds so much light on how Europeans feel. Okay. When Guinea demanded independence from France of French colonial rule in 1958, the French unleashed their fury with more than 3,000 The French unleashed their fury with more than 3,000 leaving the country, taking their entire property. In addition, they destroyed anything that couldn't be taken, destroying schools, nurseries, public administration buildings, cars, books, medicine, research institutes, research instruments, tractors. Tractors were crushed and sabotaged. Animals were killed, and food in warehouses were burned or poisoned. See how sick this is. Because Guinea wanted independence, or Guinea claimed independence. Okay, the French people living in Guinea, 3,000 French people were living in Guinea at the time. Okay, they got so mad. Okay, they destroyed their own stuff. So basically, if we cannot have it, we're gonna destroy it. Okay, this is what Europeans did in Africa. Okay, so I don't see why Africans are still paying tax to them, but then these taxes are in the form of sanctions. All right, this is really sick, and this is what's holding Africa back. This is seriously what's holding Africa back, and a lot of people don't understand why Africa is still poor. It's because of these things that Europeans do to Africa. All right, they sabotage the African, and they still have their foot on the neck of the African. Okay, this is really sick, very sick. So to the point where food, now they saying they're donating food to Africa. Like, look, they poison the food in Africa. They poison the rivers. They killed all the wildlife. Okay, they made so many wildlife in Africa go extinct. Look, lions were all over Africa. Everywhere in Africa there were lions. Everywhere. Even there were lions all the way into Palestine. Europeans killed them all. Europeans killed all of them. They hunted them all for sports. You know, they hunted all the animals for. There's this animal called the okapi. Okay, it's extinct because they hunted it down. The Europeans killed it. All right, so the Tasmanian devil was thriving in Australia. The Tasmanian devil was thriving until the Europeans showed up. Okay, the last Tasmanian devil survived until 1920, and that was a captured one in the zoo. They killed it. Yeah, they killed it. And then now is the Tasmanian devil. They're fighting really hard to preserve the Tasmanian devil, but you know, after they've killed it, because they were saying the Tasmanian devil was a sheep killer, Okay, so they will kill it. Obviously, the Tasmanian tiger or the Australian tiger was also catching sheep as well. So they try to kill it. Now the dingoes, they want to kill the dingoes too. They want to kill the dingoes in Australia because the dingoes are catching the sheep. Like, and now they want to even kill the sharks. Okay, stupid Aussies know that there are sharks in the water. Okay, they always go in the water. When they tell them don't go swim in the water, they go swim in the water. The sharks kills them, and now they demanding that the sharks be killed. How? Okay, you are venturing into the shark's territory. You should know that a shark will defend its territory. Okay, or will see you as food. Okay, but these stupid idiots, they don't understand that. They don't. They just want to kill, destroy, and steal. And if they cannot have it their way, they just blow everything up. All right, they just blow everything up. Anyway, I'll go back to my article, right? So, in addition, they destroyed anything that couldn't be taken, destroying schools, nurseries, public administration buildings, cars, books, medicine, research institute, instruments. Tractors were crushed and sabotaged, animals killed, and food in warehouses were burned or poisoned. In effect, they were sending a message to all other colonies that the consequences for rejecting France would be high. Okay, so they did that, like, you know, they sent a shock when Nkrumah got independence from Ghana. Okay, that sent in 1957. That sent a shock wave throughout the continent of Africa. Okay, and then subsequently all other countries in Africa started fighting for independence. Okay, but this is what the British, not so much the British, the French did. Okay, they poisoned the food and the water sources. Okay, just to teach Africans a lesson. All right, and these are people that are alive. These are their grandparents. These are their grandparents. My mother was born in 1964. Okay, so that, you know, this is when my mother was born, in the 60s. So this is really sick. This is not like ancient history. This is like yesterday. This is like yesterday. You know, a lot of you, your parents were born during this time. These times, your parents were born. Anyway, colonialism is an enduring stain in Africa's history, and economic oppression continue to exist. An article by Mawuna Remarque Coutonin, I think, French, peace activist and editor of SiliconAfrica.com, addressed this practice. The article called attention to an ongoing practice by which former African countries are forced to pay colonial tax to France. Even today, in fact, France continues. So today, as of this article, right? As of this article, come on. Yeah, what was that? So the article called attention to an ongoing practice by which former African countries are forced to pay a colonial tax to France. Even today, in fact, France continues to thrive on the practice, which extracts approximately $500 billion from African countries each year. So you have, since independence, in I think Burkina Faso got independence in 1980s. In the 80s. Okay, let's just say Congo got independence in 1958. Okay, 1958, Congo got independence, right? So since 1958, for 60 years, Congo has been paying France $500 billion. or Congo has been paying a share of $500 billion. All former French colonies in Africa have been paying 500 billions to France. Multiply that by 560. Okay, that is over $300 trillion. I can't even work it out. All right, that's actually astronomical. That is just sick. Sick. Imagine this money stayed in Africa, right? And this man did what's his name? This man took on the name of his name is PLO. He's Patrice Lumumba. I forgot his last name, but you know, he used to be a lawyer in the United States, and now he's one of the most important Pan-Africanists out there, right? You know, there's a video of him saying that Africa is a meat on the table for Europeans. Okay, and this is where he brings an analysis that there are over, you know, Africa. There's a lot of money being sent out of Africa, so Africa is shipping. You know, there's been a huge amount of money extracted out of Africa than Africa is making for itself. So Africa is making, say, about $150 billion a year, but then 300 and something billion dollars is going out of Africa each year. You know, this is really ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So Africa is a meat on the table for Europeans, right? And this was brought to light a few months ago. So, in fact, France continues to thrive on a practice which extracts approximately $500 billion from African countries each year. As Coutunin notes, this outrageous tax deprives African economies of much-needed funds, exacerbates debt. Okay, so it increases debt, and strips their authority over their own natural resources. Okay, but the detriments are more than just economic, as the ills of colonialism manifest in social ways that are equally devastating to the dignity and identity of the African people. Sylvanus Olympio, the first president of the Republic of Congo, instead of signing the Colonization Continuation Pact of de Gaulle, instead agreed to pay an annual debt to France for the so-called benefits of French colonization. So this is the problem, okay? Africans are still paying France money for benefits of colonization. How did Africa really benefit from colonization? Nothing. There are just rusty old factories left behind. And these factories or railway lines or whatever constructed in Africa were only constructed to ship the mineral wealth out of Africa to Europe. It wasn't to benefit Africans. But then when Africans got independence, okay, then they have to drive the Europeans out. Okay, they like from the article about about Guinea. Okay, they didn't even drive the Europeans out. The Europeans left themselves. They took off themselves. Okay, and then on their way out, they decided to torch everything that they built. Okay, so Africans had to start from scratch. Okay, and it's only been 60 years. 60 years. 60 years. How can a nation build itself in 60 years when it's still being oppressed? How can a continent build itself when it's still being oppressed? Much of it has been oppressed, and the people are in poverty, and the governments are being controlled by France. This is just hypocrisy, you know. So So instead agreed to pay an annual debt to France for the so-called benefits of French colonization. This prevented the French not destroying the country before they left. Did you hear that? The amount estimated by France was so big that the reimbursement of the so-called colonial debt was close to 40% of the country's budget in 1963. 40% in 1963. Olympia's dream was to build an independent and self-sufficient and self-reliant country for the French. But the French had him killed by a sergeant who was given 612 bounty by the French embassy. Can you imagine that? So Olympia was killed. Olympia of Togo, okay, was killed by a bounty hunter from the French embassy, and he was only given $612. Okay, this is what the French did. Okay, they killed Patrice Lumumba. Okay, they killed Olympia. They killed Thomas Sankara. Okay, who else? The CIA was involved in nearly killing Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They were involved. You know. So yeah, you know, the atrocities is beyond is just, you know, it's just beyond comprehension. It's just beyond comprehension. So history has shown that despite years of African fighting to liberate themselves, France repeatedly used many ex-foreign legionnaires to carry out coups against elected presidents. This included Jean Pedel Bokassa, who assassinated David Dacko, the first president of Central African Republic. Okay. In the last 50 years, a total of 67 coups has occurred in 26 African countries, of which 16 are ex-French colonies. This indicates that France is desperate to hold on to whatever land it has in Africa. Right. In March 2008, former French President Jacques Chirac said, "Without Africa, France will slide down into the rank of a third world power," and that Jacques' predecessor, François Mitterrand, already prophesied in 1957 that without Africa, France will have no history in the 21st century. So, I mean, this is really, really sick. You know, this is really, really sick. Thanks for joining the stream. I've got 3 people watching at the moment. 2 people, including myself. Okay, 3 people, including myself. So make yourself known. Yeah, I have gone through this video starting from a news article that was aired on Russia Today. Okay, Russia Today aired a video about the museum in the private museum belonging to King Leopold II. Okay, the Belgian government is gonna refurbish that museum and change it into an educational center. Okay, to re-educate Europeans on the history of colonialism. Okay, and the adverse effect on the development of Africa. Okay, so which a lot of people have been miseducated. A lot of Europeans have been miseducated. Okay, so I'll leave all these articles in the description box. Okay, you can go through and view the articles yourself. And I'll just read a little bit about Patrice Lumumba. Okay, I'll read a little bit about Patrice Lumumba. So this article is coming from the Southern Times. Okay, so I think this is about all the southern nations in Africa. Okay, so we have like Angola, South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, you know, all these African flags that some of them I'm not too conversant with. Okay. So Patrice Lumumba assassination and Belgium's heinous past. Okay. So this article is coming from the Southern Times. Okay. So that's a photo of Patrice Lumumba. Okay. And this article is by Love Moranga Moter. So I think this is an African that wrote this article. So it is very important that African history is told by Africans. Okay. We shouldn't let our conquerors write our history. Africans should write their own history. That's why I give reverence to all people like Dr. Ben, people like Azra Kwesi and Ivan van Sedema and a whole lot of them. Okay, Dr. Henry Clark, especially Sheikh Anta Diop. Okay, African historian and an anthropologist. Okay. Now, I give so much respect to these people, and these are the people, if you want to read a history on Africa, okay, get your books from these people. Don't get your books from Europeans, because they always distort history and always, paint the African as savages, okay? And, they always want to do things just to make Africans, feel down or put Africa down all the time, right? They never want Africa to rise. So, I started off with Belgium wanting to return the artifacts, okay, to Congo, okay, from the museum in Brussels. Okay, waiting for this to load. Okay, so Belgium tries to atone for King Leopold's sins in the Congo. Okay, so this is the museum right here. Okay, which has been refurbished. Okay, this awesome looking building, right, belonged to King Leopold, and in this museum here housed about 10 million artifacts. 10 million artifacts, in excess of 10 million artifacts were housed here, and all stolen from Congo. Okay, so it cost $80 million to give this beautiful building here a makeover. Okay, and the makeover includes an institute, okay, to re-educate people about the harm that colonialism did to Africa, right? So I'm gonna read the article on Patrice Lumumba. All right. Last Saturday, Belgium inaugurated a public square in Brussels. Okay, so they've been haunted. Europe has been haunted by the past. Okay, look, 100 years ago, you wouldn't even dream of anything, a street in Europe being named after an African. You wouldn't dream of it. But here, a whole square, okay, a whole square is being changed into the name of Patrice Lumumba. What is the agenda here? What is the motive here? All right, are they generally paying reparations, or it's too early to call. Okay, it's too early to call, but not until they rebuild Africa. Okay, we will not forgive and we will not forget. All right. So last Saturday, Belgium inaugurated a public square in Brussels in honor of slain Congo struggle icon Patrice Emery Lumumba, in what campaigners said was the first step towards tackling its dark colonial past. The unveiling of the plaque coincided with the commemoration of independence of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, or Dr. Congo, like we call it, from Belgium on June 30th, 1960. Lumumba was a Congolese independence leader and the first black prime minister of Congo, who as a founder of the mainstream Mouvement National Congolais, so Mouvement National Congolais, MNC party, played a pivotal role in campaigning for independence from Belgium. Many view the move by Belgium as an attempt to atone for its heinous crimes, which on January 17, 1961 culminated in the assassination of Lumumba. Hundreds of supporters are said to have cheered as campaigners and officials unveiled a blue plaque bearing the slain Congolese name in the square, which is at the entrance to Belgium's largely Congolese Montagne area. Can't pronounce the word, sorry. It is the first public area in the former colonial. It is the first public area in the. Come on, focus. So the camera can't focus. Okay. It is the first public area in the former colonial power to be named in honor of Lumumba, who was callously murdered by Belgium, the US, and the British agents. Brussels Mayor Philippe Close struggled to come to terms with his country's gory history as he addressed hundreds of Lumumbists in the Belgian capital. A video posted on YouTube showed Close fumbling for an appropriate eulogy that could possibly cleanse him of his ancestors' debaucheries. Today, in the heart of Brussels, by inaugurating Patrice Lumumba Square, we are starting to write our own history. I want this to be an illustrious day that you will keep in your hearts, Close said. Close is said to have been one of the many Belgians who had backed the campaign for formal honor of Lumumba. Okay, kudos to you, man. But is the plaque the ultimate atonement for the crimes against humanity committed in the Congo when King Leopold II of Belgium forcibly asserted his imperial authority on a country 8 times its own? Not many Congolese feel satisfied by this latest Belgian move. The murder of Lumumba, which the United Kingdom based daily. So the daily newspaper, okay. Daily newspaper, The Guardian, called the assassination of the century. So the assassination of Patrice Lumumba was called the assassination of the century. Okay. I bet they were throwing dice on this assassination of African leaders. Okay, they were throwing dice on the assassination of African leaders in Europe at the time. Because having 62 assassinations on the continent, that is very bad. Very, very bad. Very evil indeed. The Guardian called the assassination of the century was such a devious and heartless act that changed the course of DRC's history. Okay, so DRC was on the verge of being great. Like the wealth in the Congo. Okay, if Congo should get their acts together, okay, they will be so rich. The wealth in Congo is enough to make every African feel all right. Okay, but the question is, why is Congo still in shambles? Why is Congo still in a mess? Okay, because the powers that be do not want Africa to do well. All right, they do not want Africa to do well. But yeah, they can't hold on to that forever. It is coming. All right, their days are numbered. Okay. The residual effects of that assassination and its attendant consequences are still impacting the lives of ordinary people in the Congo 58 years after gaining independence from Belgium. Many Congolese are adamant that until and unless Belgians and all the governments that were involved in the murder of their struggle hero effectively disentangle themselves from their continued looting and involvement in the Congolese politics, none will take their moves to atone for past misdeeds seriously. Okay. In other words, we're not going to forgive you, and we're not going to forget. And for the benefit of many who because of too much Western rehashing of history, might not be fully aware of how the Congo came to be what it is today. Here's a brief history. Okay, so I don't know how long this article is. A few more to read. I'm not sure if I can go through all of them. It's almost bedtime for me in 15 minutes. So I'll try and read the article, okay, as fast as I can, okay, and limit on my comments. The Belgians, together with the British and the Americans, hatched a plan to liquidate. So the British were not an exempt, okay. The Belgians, together with the British and Americans, hatched a plan to liquidate the young and firebrand revolutionary Lumumba, who in his independence speech had unequivocally said Congo and its resources belong to the Congolese, okay, which is another term, Africa for Africans. Instead of sanitizing the Belgian government, Lumumba squarely blamed the colonial government for gross human rights abuses, the plunder of his country's resources, and called for the restoration of his compatriots' dignity and the right to decide their country's destiny. Many in the West, particularly the Belgians, the US and the British, viewed this speech as direct provocation, an affront to their interests and impediment to their plans of long colonialism in the Congo. The speech began with Lumumba addressing the Congolese people and praising independence as a culmination of the national movement struggle rather than the result of Belgian benevolence. Okay, so the idea that, you know, colonialism benefited Africa, you know, is a lie. Okay, these people were struggling to be free. All right, the colonialism didn't do any good for Africa. All right, it ruined Africa. All right, and Africans are still struggling. Africans are still struggling to break away from the effects of colonialism. All right, and things like, for African countries paying France a total of $500 billion every year in colonial tax. That is just so sick. Anyway, although this independence of the Congo, so I think this is Lumumba's speech, although this independence of Congo is being proclaimed today by agreement with Belgium, and yeah, LMCD, this is insane, right? Although this independence of Congo is being proclaimed today by agreement with Belgium, an amicable country with which we are on equal terms. So the African is thinking they are on equal terms with Belgium. No. You are not on equal terms. You will never be on equal terms. Okay. These people see themselves as your masters. All right. These people see themselves as your masters. Yeah. Colonial tax, Elm City. Okay. You can rewind the video, go back. Okay. 14 African countries, okay, former French colonies, okay, pay France $500 billion in colonial tax every year, okay. And this is because the French had, a lot of the French colonies got independence in the 1960s, okay, between 1960s and 1980s, okay. And they had to pay. The French people living in those colonies were upset. Okay, they were burning down their buildings where they lived. They were burning everything down. Okay, things that they cannot take away, they burn it down. They were poisoning the food, warehouses of food. They were burning everything down. Okay, and the African will go and say, look, we'll don't burn it down. We'll pay for it. Okay, we'll give you money for it. So these things became a form of taxes. Okay, being paid to France, okay, in Belgium. These especially France, okay, $500 billion every year. Yeah, they're the savages. they built it, okay. They don't want Africans to have it. They want Africans to go back living in huts, okay. So that's what they say. So they burn everything down. And from the start of this video, okay, the comments that were on that Russia Today article, okay, a lot of them are like, oh, if Africans can return everything the French and the colonialists built in Africa. Okay, so this is the miseducation, okay, miseducation and misindoctrination that has plagued Europe. Okay, the Europeans think they're very educated. They've been miseducated. Okay, they've been lied to. Their history has been falsified. All right. So I'll go on. Yeah, it's just stupid and unimaginable how Europeans think, and when you listen to a Eurocentric person, okay, they all have the same train of thought, you know, as the comment line, you know, the comment thread on the Russia Today article, when Belgium wanted to return all the artifacts back to Congo. Okay, these people were mad. Yeah, it is very annoying, but it's very important. LCD, it's very annoying, but it's very important that we learn. Okay, this is why history is so important in the Agenda 2063. Okay, yeah, in Agenda 2063, it is very important that Africans, you know, are deeply aware of the history. Okay, deeply aware of their history and their past. If you forget your history, okay, you don't know where you're going. Okay, you don't know where you're going. You don't know your purpose in life if you don't know your history. Okay, so effectively what Europeans did was eliminate all our history, scrapped all our histories, and gave us their version of our history. So we are basing our history on Europeans, you know, on Europeans' accounts, which is not right. So that's why somebody like Dinas from Search for Uhuru has a term European Afropeans. So we've become Afropeans. You know, we've become Afropeans. Africans living with Europeans. Exactly what it is. Afropeans. We think like Europeans now. Okay, most of us do. Okay, and we reject everything African. You go speak to an African American. Some African American will tell you, I ain't African, I'm American, or I'm indigenous, I'm from Turtle Island. You know, so I'll go back to this article quickly. Although this independence of the Congo is being proclaimed today by agreement with Belgium, an amicable country with which we are on equal terms, no Congolese will ever forget that independence was won on struggle, a persevering and inspired struggle carried on from day to day, a struggle in which we were undaunted by privation or suffering and stinted neither strength nor blood. Okay, I've never come across some of these words. Okay, so this is really deep, right? Sorry, I'm getting tired reading, but I must do this. Okay, in concluding the speech, Lumumba passionately appealed to the Congolese to make sacrifices for the future and respect the rights of non-indigenous settlers. Okay, so when you look at Ghana's independence, okay, Ghanaians are very hardworking. When they got independence, okay, just as every country, okay, the joy of independence gave these people great joy, you know, great vim to work to rebuild the country and build the country. At the time of independence, right, the Ghanaian currency was equivalent to the American dollar. Okay. They Europeans and Americans systematically brought Africa down. They didn't want Africa to progress. Okay. They destroyed the economy of Africa and assassinated the African leaders. Okay. and people with no leader, okay, no direction, don't know where they're going, don't know where they're heading. All right. As a Pan-African, okay, so Patrice Lumumba was a Pan-Africanist. Okay. As a Pan-African, Lumumba finished his speech by saying that Congo's independence is a decisive step towards the liberation of the whole African continent. Okay. So this sounds like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. At long last, Ghana, your beloved country is free forever. Okay, and he goes on to say the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless the total liberation of the entire continent of Africa. Okay, unless the total liberation. Of the total, I'm tired. I can't pronounce the word right now. Of the entire continent of Africa, okay. So being a Pan-Africanist, okay. Patrice Lumumba. Much of the chagrin of Belgium officials, present during his inauguration speech, Lumumba exclaimed, "Long live independence and African unity! Long live the independent and sovereign Congo!" That speech is regarded by many historians as an enduring badge of an uncompromising revolutionary, which ironically also sealed his death warrant. Okay. Popular at home, Lumumba was considered too pro-Soviet. Okay, so they use the same accusation against Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They use the same accusation that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a communist and being a pro-Soviet. Okay, so the Britain, friends, they don't want to help Africa develop. So Nkrumah had to go to Cuba and go to Russia, and Cuba and Russia were willing, and China, they were willing to give Africa loans. At the time, they were willing to give Africa loans to build. Okay, Egypt was looking for a loan to build a dam. Okay, America didn't want to give the loan to Egypt. Britain didn't want to give the loan to Egypt. France definitely didn't want to give the loan to Egypt. Okay, but China stepped in and gave the loan to Egypt. A few years later, all right, France and Britain invaded Egypt. France, it was amazing. I think it was a one-day invasion. France and Britain brought their warships and their ground troops and invaded Egypt. Amazing. These people are so disgusting. And they will not be forgiven. They won't be forgiven. All right. This is a stain. This is a stain in their history. And it will be there forever. Okay, so the speech is regarded by many historians as an enduring badge of an uncompromising revolutionary, which ironically also sealed his death warrant. Popular at home, Lumumba was considered too pro-Soviet by the Americans again. So the Americans, right? And a plan was hatched to kill him on January 17, 1961, at the age of 35. Okay, so they assassinated Patrice Lumumba. Okay, and this one was done by a Belgian police officer in Congo. Okay, but in Nkrumah, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, okay, the assassination attempt on Nkrumah was done, okay, by a fellow Ghanaian or by fellow Ghanaians. Okay, apparently the rumor is that Nkrumah was given a bunch of flowers, okay, and he inhaled some poisonous gases from the bunch of flowers. Okay, that was just a speculation. I'm not too sure exactly how he died, but he died out of poison, cyanide poisoning. All right, Nkrumah died out of poisoning a few years later. Yeah, a few years later. he had grand, vision for Africa, but they took him out. They decided to take him out. So Patrice Lumumba was killed at the age 35 as well. But the Americans, the British, and the Belgians had to find a willing black conspirator in a young, ambitious Mobutu Sese Seko in Bendu, Waza Banga, who had been promoted to Prime Minister promoted by Prime Minister Lumumba to the position of Chief of Staff of the Army. So Mobutu Sese Seko became a puppet for the Belgium and the French. Okay, so they could continue looting looting the Congo. Okay, and Mobutu Sese Seko, okay, he finally died. Okay, Mobutu finally died, right? And Mobutu has saved over $250 million in the Swiss bank. And guess what? Mobutu Sese Seko's money, okay, is frozen. It's frozen in the Swiss bank. Okay, and the people of Congo can't get their money back. Okay, this is how it's so sickening. This is so sickening, but it is really important that we keep learning. All right. With the assistance of the Americans, Belgians and British, Lumumba was apprehended by soldiers loyal to Mobutu. He was humiliated by young soldiers who, in the glare of the public, in an open truck, forced him to swallow a paper which contained his speech. Wow. The crisis in the Congo had emanated from a shaky coalition government formed at independence on 30th of June 1960, led by Prime Minister Lumumba and President Joseph Kasavubu. The source of crisis was continued. The source of the crisis was a continued presence of Belgian army officers occupying positions in the army. This led to mutiny. Lumumba entrusted his most trusted lieutenant, Mobutu, the Chief of Staff, to deal with the issue. In his capacity as Chief of Staff, Mobutu toured the country convincing soldiers to return to their barracks. Little did Lumumba know that Mobutu had already been a mole for the Belgians and had his own parochial ambitions. Okay. When Lumumba turned to the Soviet for help to quell the secession of Katanga by Moise Tshombe, the US, Belgians, and the British were vindicated that indeed the young Congolese leader was a communist on a mission to spread communism in Central Africa. Employing the divide and rule tactic, okay, the US and the Belgium urged Kasavubu to dismiss Lumumba, which he did on September 5th, 1961. Lumumba in turn declared Kasavubu deposed, but Parliament refused to recognize both dismissals and called for reconciliation. Without an agreement inside Mobutu, who favored the withdrawal of Russian presence in the Congo, launched a bloodless coup and declared both Kasavubu and Lumumba neutralized and established a new government of university graduates. When Lumumba rejected this action, he was forced to retire to his residence, where UN peacekeepers prevented Mobutu soldiers from arresting him. So the UN has been in the Congo since the 60s. Are you telling me the UN has been in the Congo since the 60s? Some believe that the mistake made by Lumumba was to leave his residence, which was at the time forfeited by the UN troops, and join his supporters at Stalinville with a view of establishing a new government. In early December 1960, Lumumba was captured by Mobutu's troops and incarcerated. at his headquarters in Tyersville. Mobutu still viewed his former boss as a threat. On January 17, 1961, Lumumba was transferred to the rebellion state of Katanga, where he disappeared from public view. Okay. So it was later discovered that he was murdered the same day by the secessionist forces of Moise Tshombe after Mobutu's government turned him over. The Americans, the Belgians, and the US seized the opportunity and took hold of Lumumba, who was shot, and his body was cut into pieces, incinerated by acid, okay, in a sack, and reportedly thrown in the Congo River, never to be seen again. How sick is that? How sick is that, family? How sick is that? This is so sick. That after Patrice Lumumba was killed, right? They took his body and cut him into pieces and dissolved his body in acid and thrown in the river. Okay, never to be seen again. This is so sick. Writing in the British daily newspaper The Guardian in January 2011, George Nzongola Intanla, a Congolese national who is a professor of the African and Afro-American Studies at the University of Carolina at Chapel Hill, author of The Congo from Leopold to Kabila, A People's History, says, in the Congo, Lumumba's assassination is rightly viewed as a country's original sin. Coming less than 7 months after independence, on June 30th, 1960, it was a stumbling block to the ideals of national unity, economic independence, and Pan-African solidarity that Lumumba had championed, as well as the shattering blow to the hopes of millions of Congolese for freedom and material prosperity. So 57 years after the callous murder of Lumumba, countries that conspired to liquidate Congolese hero must do more than piecemeal gestures of placing a plaque on public squares. There's need for more than just an apology. Okay, so this is directed to Belgium. There's need for more than just an apology. Okay, you need to do more than placing a plaque. There is need for US, Belgium, and the British to own up to the sordid history in the Congo, and that owning up involves a lot of explanations. Belgium, a country 8 times smaller than the Congo, needs to be open how it became the center of diamond processing when it does not have a single diamond mine. So Belgium doesn't have a single diamond mine, but it became a center for diamond processing. Belgium doesn't have a single cocoa farm. Okay, but Belgium, I bet if you've had Belgium chocolate, they taste really good. Okay, they taste really, really good. How is that? How is that so? Okay, the Lindt chocolate comes from Belgium. Lindt chocolate comes from Belgium. Very, very delicious chocolate. Anyway, so Belgium doesn't have a single diamond mine, but is a center of diamond processing. How is that possible? Okay, Belgium needs to also own up to the more than 10 million Congolese murdered by King Leopold II from 1885 to 1908, when the Congo was his personal property. Although Leopold himself never visited Congo, he is believed to have fed himself with the income from the plunder of the country's resources, including building palaces, monuments, and museums, and bought expensive clothes and villas for his teenage mistress. And the Americans need to own up to the historical reality of the fact that the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima on August 6th to 9th, 1945, during the final stage of the Second World War, was made from uranium mined from Shinkolobwe mine in the province of Katanga in the Congo. So the atomic bombs, the first atomic bombs, okay, the uranium was mined from Congo, right? Was mined from Congo. So yeah, so Japan, right? You know where your the uranium came from to bomb your people, okay? It came from Congo. This was the richest uranium mine in the world, with its ore having an average of 65% uranium oxide compared with American or Canadian ore, which contained less than 1%. Can you believe that? So when Europeans dig for uranium ore, there's only 1% of uranium actually in their findings or in their excavation. But when you dig the uranium out, the soil out of Congo, okay, you have 65%, okay, of getting pure uranium from the Congo. All right, so the article is nearly finished, okay. It is also important, I'll take that line again, right? This was the richest uranium mine in the world, that is Congo, right? The Katanga mine was the richest uranium mine in the world, with its ore having an average of 65% uranium oxide compared with American or Canadian ore, which contained less than 1%. Look at that. It is also important that while the Americans never acquired colonies, its history in the looting, exploitation, and murder of indigenous people in Africa, particularly in Congo, must be documented in its own education curriculum. So Americans never teach their own history. They don't teach even the history like Thanksgiving Day. Okay, they change their history. You know, Americans always falsify their history. You know, they change it all. So there's no way they're gonna put this in the American curriculum. There's no way. There's no way. You know, the same applies to Belgium. This is the only place you can get this kind of knowledge on YouTube, right? Or if you're someone that reads, this is the only time you get this kind of knowledge. The same applies to Belgium. The attempt to expurgate from Belgium's official memory of the atrocities committed in the Congo was never to be allowed to fester. Okay, so a lot of the Europeans try to hide this history. They try to purge it. Okay, they try to purge it. They try to hide it as if it never happened. As if it never happened. But you know, they've been haunted. Many generations in Belgium were brought up with the view that Belgium brought civilization to Congo, that they did nothing but good. So a lot of people run off with the narrative that colonization brought civilization to Africans. That's a lie. Okay, that's a lie. So many generations in Belgium were brought. So there should be many generations in Europe. Okay, many generations in Europe were brought up with the view that Belgium brought civilization to Congo, that they did nothing but good. This kind of miseducation does not promote concrete post-colonial mutual understanding. Finally, in Britain, Belgium and the US are to be taken serious by very contentious being. I'll take that again. Finally, if Britain, Belgium, and the US are to be taken serious by every contentious being, They must do Africa and the world good by shipping out the Congo. They must do Africa and the world good by shipping out of the Congo and half any covert sponsoring of chaos, confusion, and all sorts of rebel incursions into the DRC. Congolese, like Lumumba said, deserve the right to their destiny. Okay, so this article concludes, okay, and that's the end of that article. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm becoming laggish in my reading. Okay, there's another article which is a bit of a short read, but I'm not sure I want to go through that. But I am very tired. Basically, I think this article is basically talking about the same thing that I read previously, but this is a photo of Patrice Lumumba, okay, when he was very young, 35-year-old, very, very young. So Brussels, this is from the African Exponent, okay. Brussels renames square after Patrice Lumumba. Colonial legacies stared. Not everyone is happy. So not everyone in Belgium is happy about this. Okay. Not everyone in Belgium is happy about this. So yeah, Europeans don't want to be, pointed fingers at for the atrocities committed. So a square in Brussels, the Square du Bastion, was renamed to Patrice Lumumba Square in honor of the first leader of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But for a country with flawed colonial past, is the act sincere at all? So it is a question to ask. The colonial era was a dark time for Africa, as dehumanization, brutality, and the West forms of humiliation were the mark of Black Africans. Heinous and atrocious acts were done to grease over the selfish and evil deeds of the colonizers, while the Black Africans resigned despairingly to their miserable fate. The case of Democratic Republic of Congo is a point of reference and stirs ugly colonial memories. Former European colonizers have not had the will to atone for their horrific acts, and they have sought to rewrite history in apparent attempts to wipe off their misdeeds, all in pursuit of riches and glory. Belgium is a former colonizer of Democratic Republic of Congo, and with the renaming of the square of Brussels after iconic revolutionary Patrice Lumumba, a debate on the ramifications of colonization has raged once again. So yeah, I think it's just talking about the square. Okay. No discussions about the reparations or repatriations of wealth stolen was proffered. Yeah. And a lot of questions about the sincerity of the symbolic act have surfaced, and answers really needed. So the mayor of Brussels views this as an attempt to conceal the brutality of the Belgians, but as a way to forge a new meaningful relationship with the Congo. By inaugurating the square, we're not repairing the past. We are not closing a chapter of history, he said. Today, by inaugurating the square, we forget nothing. Okay, that's good to know. Today, in the heart of Belgian capital of 500 million Europeans. I guess the Belgium is the capital of the EU, the European Union. Okay, the European Union is in Brussels. Okay, so today in the heart of the Belgian capital of 500 million Europeans, by inaugurating this square, Patrice Lumumba, we begin to write our common history, he added. Belgium's evil acts in their conquest of the Congo cannot just be easily thrown down the drain. It is as if nothing once happened. If substantial moves to address this are not taken, Belgium hardly expresses remorse for what they did in the Congo. In 2002, Belgium made an apology for the gruesome assassination of Patrice Lumumba, admitting that they were part of the plot involving America's CIA. Admitting that they were part of the plot involving America's CIA in order to be on top and in the Cold War hostilities and the pursuit of Congo's vast riches. Alright, so this is just sick. So Belgium's rule in the Congo was beyond destructive. Okay, the current states of Belgium and DRC are completely worlds apart. The DRC was the center of Belgium's colonial power, Belgium's colonial empire. King Leopold II declared the Congo and all its people his personal assets. Okay, the rapes, the murders, the kidnappings, all committed in acquiring the colony for King Leopold are unspeakable. DRC's capital, Kinshasa, was named Leopoldville, even though Leopold II never set foot there. Historians strongly believe his evil and heavy-handed rule in the Congo was responsible for deaths of about 10 million people. Utterly horrific. Okay, so this article is a short read, right? What's making matters worse is that while Belgium is putting a facade of honoring Lumumba, Leopold is still very much immortalized in Belgium. Despite all the harm he caused to the Congo, statues, public buildings, and boulevards reminiscent of King Leopold II are still littering Brussels and the rest of Belgium. Will apologies and renaming of squares atone for the colonial sins that are still being celebrated right up to now? Are their apologies and symbolic acts even sincere at all? Former colonial powers do not have to seek to rewrite history and make valiant efforts at forgetting the past. The legacies of colonialism with its parent imperialism are still bedeviling the economy. Substantive moves must be made. The sorts of reparations, okay? Reparations, otherwise all others are not sincere at all. So basically, the article is concluding by saying that not until reparations are paid, okay, all other moves made by Europeans, okay, are not sincere. All right. Anyway, I conclude here. All right. Thanks to everyone for joining the stream. I appreciate everyone for joining the stream. I am really tired. It's 12:23 a.m. and I start work at 5 a.m. Okay, 5:30 a.m. I need to be at work, so I'll go catch some sleep. And I am glad I went through this. I'm really tired doing this video, but it is very, very, very necessary that we do this. Okay, it is very, very, very necessary that I do this. Okay, so I'll leave the articles in the description box. I know a lot of you don't like reading. Okay, many of you don't like reading, but yeah, this is why I do this. Okay, this is why I do this. That I will try, and if you can stand my reading, okay. I am very tired reading, but if you were able to stand, you know, my inability to be you know, audible, you know, if you can understand everything I read out, okay, you should be able to gain a lot of knowledge from whatever I talked about. Yeah, so I'll conclude here. Thanks to everyone for joining the stream. For everyone that will be catching the stream later or watching the replay, please subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna ask O'Shea to share this on his in his community tab, and all my friends to share this as well. And it's very, very important that Africans know their history, okay, and know where they stand, okay, and know where they stand. Not until reparations are paid, not until reparations are paid, we're not taking any of these people seriously. All right, we're not taking any of these people seriously. All right, so it's reparations or nothing. All right, okay, and the idea that you know, if it wasn't for colonization, okay, Europeans would be, I mean, Africans would still be living in mud huts. Okay, that's just a fallacy. Okay, that's just not true, right? Because there were castles and, you know, mega cities in Africa. Okay, whilst Europeans were still barbaric. Okay, and they were still savages and ravaged by wars. You know, so it is what it is. All right, it is very important that we take our history seriously. So until next time, Chief Drano signing out. Peace out, and one love to the family. One love to the family. Africa unite. All right, Africa unite. Peace out. Salut.